Just Baseball Show is presented by BetMGM. Today, Monday, July 15th. Jack and Aram to recap the first round of the MLB Draft. At the tail end, you're going to hear a home run derby preview that Peter and I kind of recorded. We recorded it. We did that on Sunday morning. Then we had an excellent Sunday live stream with our friends at eBay. Again, doing it today, 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central, on the eBay app, eBay Live. It went so well. Auctioned off a ton of cards, and we've kind of got a grab bag of various Hall of Fame things, which is always kind of cool, right? If you can grab a Hall of Fame signed something. But and then we did a live stream that was about, I think, 2.5 hours. We did through 32. We did through the 2 PPI picks, and we broke down in real time each pick of the first round. We're going to kind of do the same thing now, but we're going to go through the notable picks. And this was like actually unpredictable.
They all are, right? And I think this one was as unpredictable as we've seen in a little bit. I mean, it's funny because The number one thing that drove me nuts sometimes when we put the mock drafts out, I think mock draft 3.0 was our most out there mock draft. And there were like a lot of people said good work, which I appreciated. But then of course you had like, this is the worst mock draft I've ever seen.
Right.
How could it be the worst mock draft if the draft didn't happen?
Dude, it's wrong.
It didn't happen
it's
yet.
Wrong.
And what ends up happening? Everyone's mock drafts got torched.
It's the worst mock draft that anybody's ever seen.
Ever. So that's the beauty of it, and I love it, and that's why the draft is so much fun. Is like people with way more intel than us, like still couldn't even figure out how the mock was or how the drafts were going to go. Even the first pick,
right? The
majority of mocks had J.J. Witherholt number 1.
Yeah,
didn't happen. That's what we had as well. Not many people had Chase Burns too. We're going to go through all of that, but the unpredictability of it is so wild, and I think honestly, like I felt as though there was some bigger surprises at the top almost than the rest. Of course, you had a couple picks, but that naturally happens in any draft when you get later into the first round. I thought some of the most surprising picks were actually at the top, where according to the scouts and a lot of people was, we feel pretty good about how the top 10 are going to go, and then it's going to be chaos. Chaos started pretty much at number 2 and on from there. And not chaos because you knew he was going to be top 5, but I think unpredictability really started to happen there.
No, I count 4, not head scratchers, but I count 4 that I was like, wow,
whoa,
in the top 10. There were 4 whoa in the top 10. We're going to go through the top 10 pick by pick here, and then the picks that jumped out 11 through the end of the first round, which was 30. Number 1 was Travis Bazzana. We've talked about this. Best player in the class. Like in your draft rankings, in your player rankings, he was the best player in the draft. Mm-hmm. He wasn't the number 1 overall pick in the mock, but he was the best player in the draft. I think this is like actually very simple. The Guardians took the best guy.
100%. Yeah. And, we'll find out what the money looks like.
Right.
You can't fully assess a draft until, one, the whole thing happens.
Yeah.
And we talked about the Brewers draft last year, right? Like, they saved money and they went and got Cooper Pratt, who we just saw play in the Futures game and looked good.
Yeah, like all first team, all infield, outfield. Like first team, all IO in that.
And like that's just an example, right? Like there's going to be picks that could put a draft over the top that haven't even happened yet. So we're just talking about the player and getting them in the first round and what that looks like. Of course, that's great, but like you can't fully say a pick is good or bad until the rest of the draft shakes out, especially for those underslot guys. And I think with one, like Weatherholt would have been a great option too, but because of the savings, right? I think if you're getting the best player in the draft, it's a no-brainer to go take Travis Bazzana. I'd imagine that maybe the savings weren't as significant as they were hoping. Yeah. By all indications, seems like the Guardians were deal shopping because of how late everything kind of settled.
Well, and my question is, wouldn't he be the first $10 million player in the draft? Because this is, 10.5?
Yes.
You think, all right, if this guy was going to be the closest to slot that the Guardians were going to get, he could still save him $500,000 and be the first $10 million player in the draft. Like, that's what we're looking at with these egregious slot values.
It's crazy.
I'm okay saying the word egregious here. I'm all for players getting paid, but, like, does a 3-year guy at Oregon State need $10.5 million to play baseball? Probably not. Like, he'll make that when he's a big leaguer, but, man, if we have the money in this game and like the revenue sharing works and the bonus pools work, it's funny money that the Guardians have to use right now.
And I think that's the other interesting side of it is I think Bazzana, we'll find out. I have no idea, but I don't think he's getting the full slot.
No,
so
but
that's the thing too. So let's say you were gonna get Weatherholt for 9.5, but you can get Bazana for 10 or 9.75.
Yeah.
Just go get the best player in the draft who hasn't had a lingering hamstring issue. And I think for Bazana, they probably do get a decent discount because Bazana is aware that if he doesn't go 1,
the Reds are at least 4.
At least 4.
Yeah.
So I think that they may have worked out a decent deal here. And I think both sides, understandably so, shopping around.
Yeah.
And the way that it settled was, hey, the cost difference may not be too much. So that's why I'm really excited to see the bonuses. Yeah. And I'd imagine some of these top picks, it won't take much time. Some of the late first rounders, they might not sign for a while. And there's going to be a lot of back and forth. But, I mean, you got to be thrilled to get Travis Bazana. Don't need to overthink it. Don't need to complicate it. And, I mean, he fits exactly what the Guardians want, right? We talk about the hit over everything, but now a guy that can slug a little bit too. I feel like they wanted all of their players to be Travis Bazana, where it's, it's hit tool first, but they can slug too. Right. Very hard to find. Guardians just found that.
Yes. The first woe of the top 10, first of 4 woes of the top 10 came at number 2. Cincinnati went with Chase Burns, the right-hander from Wake Forest. I mean, this was crazy. And I was thinking just bat. Like, I frankly thought there was no shot that they were going to take an arm here. Because, frankly, like, the arms didn't make sense. Burns, Smith didn't really make sense. And they took the one of the two. I think Burns is, I don't know. I think he's better than Smith. I know you.
A lot of people do.
Yeah, and I know you think Smith is better than Burns. Regardless, like, they took the one with the home run problem.
Yes.
And like, Great American Ballpark got a guy that, yes, throws 100. Yes, has a disgusting slider. That slider is one of the better pitches in the draft. But, I mean, man, like, it was a homer and a half per 9.
Yeah.
At Wake.
I mean, we're talking about a guy that yielded a OPS over 900 on his fastball, and lefties over 1,000. So that part of it was surprising. There'd been some reports tying them, but it was always like maybe like it could happen.
Yeah, you just ignored them.
They always
you're not going to do it.
Yeah, they always throw in 3 other names in the mock draft. Say, this guy could make sense. But you're like, no way. Right. Look, Burns is you got a guy that a lot of people consider the best arm in the draft. And yes, I lean Hagen Smith, but if you look at our draft rankings, which is linked in the episode description, they're next to each other. So it's not like there's a huge difference. Burns is a guy that you can pretty much, worst case scenario, that's also a good high leverage reliever. That slider is enough of a pitch. If he only threw that, he'd be a successful big league arm.
Is it a 70?
It's a 70, no doubt about it. And then he's got the banger curveball.
Right.
And then, look, it still is upper 90s fastball.
100, yeah.
If he can just command it a little bit better and play it at the top, that's great. But I find the fit surprising when, I think they could use some position player help in that system. I know you don't draft by need, but at the same time, like, you had Charlie Condon on the board, who they were apparently tied to all forever. Yeah. You had Weatherholt on the board. You had Caglione on the board. Like, I just thought it was a bit of a surprise there. At the end of the day, though, you get an uber talented arm. I'd imagine they probably save some money here still too, and we'll see, how the rest of the draft shakes out for them. But it was a bit of a surprise to me, and I don't love the fit considering, as you alluded to, home run problem, fastball got hit pretty hard, and now you're putting him in Great American. What I do like, though, is the durability side of it. He is a high-effort righty, but you can't deny that he's eaten innings. He has held his velocity deep into seasons, and the Reds have kind of struggled to maintain guys like that.
Peter has been using the word violent a lot to describe Burns' delivery. I disagree with that. I think that it's quick, but I think that it's mechanically sound. It's a mechanically sound delivery that's fast.
I think it's high effort.
It's
and
high
I think
effort,
there's a difference,
but high effort and violent are not necessarily the same thing. I'd actually say that, like, if you were a pitching coach saying, hey, replicate this guy's mechanics, I'd rather you replicate Burns than Hagen Smith, but both are athletes in, like, their own right.
100%.
So that's kind of where I stand on that. Number 3 was Charlie Condon going to Colorado, the Golden Spikes winner from University of Georgia. Third guy ever to lead Division I baseball in batting average and homers in the same year, goes to Coors. I have no analysis. This was a slam dunk. This is exactly what was supposed to happen.
It was exactly what I think he's going to do. Exactly what they were hoping Chris Bryant would do, right? And it's a similar type of profile that I think you're dreaming on. I love the fit too, because if there's one thing that, is maybe a concern with Condon, it's ability to hit like sharp and depthy breaking balls, because just he's so long
breaking
levered.
balls go to shit in Denver anyway, so like, you're fine.
Exactly, and he's so long levered that you can affect the path a little bit. This dude pulverizes fastballs with the best of them.
Yeah.
And so now you have a guy that was running like a 92% in-zone contact rate against fastballs. He's going to do that at Coors. He's going to be better against breaking balls now. And you combine a plus power guy who puts the ball in play consistently, I think it's going to help him hit for average out there. You can fast track him, and I know they're going to.
I can smell what the Rockies are cooking, and it smells really good.
If
really
you got Nolan Jones, and I know he's been banged up and it's not been the best year for him.
I mean, Nolan Jones, Brenton Doyle, right? And then
Like, those guys-
Condon left.
Those guys have started to really hit out there. Nolan Jones raked. Yeah. Think about what Charlie Condon can do out there. So I think for Charlie Condon's career, this was the best case scenario. I think for the Rockies, other than going to get an arm, and again, I love the Smith fit, but ultimately, like, this was the best case scenario for the Rockies. Rockies fans have to be over the moon.
Yeah. Second woe of the top 10 was number 4. The Sacramento A's took Nick Kurtz, the Wake Forest first baseman. Kurtz was, I think, when was 1.0? 1.0 was right before the college season?
Yeah.
I think 1.0 he went 2.
Yes.
And then by 4.0 he was outside of the top 10.
Yeah.
There were things that were exposed this year at Wake Forest, but Oakland, like, it feels like this was the first money saver of the draft.
Yeah.
Kurtz at 4.
The first significant one.
Yeah.
Like that's a significant money saver.
Right.
This is a Jacob Wilson level money saver. More
Seems like it.
But Wilson's worked out quite well for them.
Right.
So
Very well.
I don't want to, doubt them too much. But then I see them going with Tommy White later, and I'm like, okay, yeah, that's what you're using. I don't even know if that's what they used their
They
savings
want
on.
homers. They see Sacramento, and it's like, you know what? Those river cats are leaving the yard often. Let's go do that.
Just in collecting first baseman like Infinity Stones.
Why not, man? Again, like Soderstrom, Noda, Langoliers, Tommy White, Nick Kurtz, like, they're all immobile.
Yeah, it's
Rooker's the DH already.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
But I do think that Kurtz can be a great piece for them, in a vacuum.
Yeah.
So talented. After he came back from the shoulder issue, OPS 1400 the rest of the way. I think he struggled with passiveness at times, and I think that's where he started to run into some trouble. The things that got exposed were him taking pitches that were hittable, and then you could get him to kind of expand later on, deep into counts. And I think the power to all fields. He's a good defensive first baseman. Like, I can see why they like him, and the blend of hit and power as a 6'5" hitter is exciting. I think they're going to save a lot of money on this pick, and I won't fully judge it until we see what they do the rest of the draft, because I feel like those savings have to be used to do something significant.
Yeah. Hagen Smith went number 5 to the White Sox. Interesting pick from them, and I do like it that they add to the stable of pitching prospects that they have. I mean, this is, outside of the Pirates, is this the best pitching system in baseball? Probably is, with the addition of Hagen Smith.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at what Birmingham's got, and then again, you're going to trade Crochet, you're going to trade Robert at some point. Like, the Robert deal may come in the offseason, but you'll move Crochet, you'll move Fetty, you'll move DeYoung. They are building, I think, what's going to be the best farm system in baseball when you get a couple more graduations from Baltimore.
100%, or at least really close.
Yeah.
Really, really close. And adding a Hagen Smith who can climb quickly. Now just having all the layers of arms, you have Schultz, you have Smith, you have Iriarte, you have Thorpe. Like, it's a lot of different looks and types that you provide.
Again, down the line, man, I mean, like, Grant Taylor, Mason Adams, like Kai Bush, Jake Eater.
Eater's been much better this year. Yeah.
There are so many mid-level pitching prospects there that could be big leaguers, too, to add to the top-flight trio of arms that you have in Thorpe, Schultz, and Hagen Smith. I guess you can kind of pluck and throw Iriarte in there.
Absolutely. Too. And what I love about the pick too is, he's kind of that starter kit to Crochet, where it's fastball that just takes off and is a big whiff pitch, disgusting slider. And what really put Crochet over the top of over the last year and change is finding that changeup and that feel for it. And if you look at Hagen Smith's delivery, I do think it's conducive to finding a changeup as he gets a better feel for it. And it did get a little bit better this year. If the White Sox get that right with him, he's a 2-starter, man, and a really good one. If all goes to shit, he's a high-leverage reliever and a really good, it could be an elite closer. His fastball is most similar to Josh Hader from release characteristic standpoint. So like you can dream on that too, and that's a pretty good backup plan.
It feels like he's kind of shoving it towards the plate. He's not like throwing it. He's almost like it's a knuckleball that leaves at 97 and spins like crazy. You know what I mean? Where it's like he's pushing on a plane.
It's almost just like whipping.
You're right. Like he's shoving it forward instead of like actually throwing, and like you've got rotation on it too.
It just seems to be something that hitters are not used to seeing.
Yeah. Number 6, Jack Caglione to Kansas City. I mean, the jokes write themselves for Cags and Pasquantino being on the same team. Caglione and Vinny Pasquantino, come on now. But, I mean, this felt like the floor. Like Caglione at 6, and then I'll lump in J.J. Weatherholt here at 7 to St. Louis too. This felt like the farthest either of them were going to slip.
I agree. I didn't think Weatherholt would even sniff this far down the line too. And by the way, Hagen Smith opponents at $150 against his fastball. So, wow. I mean, that's going to make it easy for him to transition to pro ball.
Like $165 against him overall, though.
Yeah,
so it's a fine
because
pitch.
of the changeups he threw in.
Right.
Caglione, I mean, you got to be over the moon, I think, if you're the Royals.
I think so.
I think they were hoping Hagen Smith would be there. He fit the bill of what they like, and Brian Bridges being their former Braves, head of scouting, who loves his pitchers and left-handers. Thought that might be a good fit. Thought they might go Rayner. But I don't think they were expecting Cags to be there, especially with the White Sox being tied to him. They're going to apparently let him do both, but they always let the guys do both for a little bit, and then
are they actually?
That was the report that they're going to let him do both. We'll see.
Who reported that? I don't believe you.
I think they literally said it.
No way.
I know, it's wild. They're going to let him do both, and then they'll probably scrap it after a couple months. Yeah. And then he's just going to be a hitter, and he could be a really good one.
It'll be the Reggie Crawford thing.
Yes, but the other way.
Yeah, he'll do both, and then it's like, all right, you're just going to hit now.
Yeah, because in terms of offensive ceiling, Cags is the highest in this draft.
Yeah.
This is a guy that has 80 raw power.
Hit a ball, 516 feet this year?
Yeah. It's 80 raw, and then, I mean, the plate discipline undermines it, but it's 60 hit potentially, at least 55.
So, yeah, just going to the plate discipline thing, like I understand, and I brought this up on the live stream too, like 5% walk rate, like 20-something% K rate in 23. 18% walk rate, I think it was 10% K rate in 24 to this point. So like by plate discipline, I agree. If you look at his whole college career, that's a glaring issue. If you just go standard walk and strikeout numbers, like a problem solved, but it goes deeper than that.
It does. He did cut the chase by 5%, but it still was like, if you have scatter plots, and that's what all of these teams have, right?
And it's just like non-competitive. Like he was intentionally walked all the time.
All the time. Yeah. He only 38% of the pitches he saw were in the zone.
Yeah.
So, okay, like we talked about that on the stream where it's like, you're in an offense that's not great. It was a team that barely got into the postseason. And he probably felt like he had to do everything out there. Right. And also, how do you convince a guy that's hitting 400 to swing less when he's also slugging with the best of them and can do damage on pitchers outside of the zone? In the zone, though, 92% contact rate. That's absurd. The contact rate overall dropped semi-significantly because of how expansive he was to like 79, 80%. But that's still above average contact rates from a guy who has 80 raw power. Yeah. I might be first base only. We're hoping they can maybe put him in right a little bit. But in terms of offensive upside, I don't think you're going to find someone with more than that.
Weatherholt, I don't think there's much analysis here. Cardinals got the best player remaining, right?
Yeah, this is one of the best steals of the draft and fits them perfectly, right? To get a college bat that's going to fly through the minors, elevates the ball consistently, plus hit, can run. I mean, this was a dream scenario for the Cardinals.
The third woe of the 4 in the top 10 was number 8. The Angels take Christian Moore, who was the player of the NCAA tournament, the Tennessee second baseman, hit for the cycle in his first game in Omaha. This guy's an absolute gamer. Like, let positives out of the way now. He hits the shit out of it to all fields. Like, there have been some stupid swings that I watched that like got out down the right field line, and could that be the baseball? Maybe. Could that be metal? Maybe. But at the end of the day, this guy is built like a fire hydrant.
Oh, yeah.
And he moves so well, and he plays the game with a fire that, like, not many players at any level play with. Now, the negative. The Angels took him at 8 when you had him where in the player rankings?
We're lower on him than I think the rest of the industry, but we had him 20 in our draft rankings.
Like, he would have been a pick that I think you were very happy about if he fell to the Marlins at 16.
Yeah, sure,
Like,
absolutely.
I think if Christian Moore was a Miami Marlin at the end of the night, you're like, I'm very happy about this.
100%.
But an Angel at 8 is tough.
Yeah, I thought he'd go 12, 13. Like, there seemed to be a lot of teams that were just very high on him and what he'd done. No hitter in this draft, at least at the top of it, made a larger leap in contact rates than Christian Moore. 12% improvement. That's massive, especially when you have some of the best EVs in college baseball. He upped his batting average by 70 points and his OPS by more than 400 points against non-fastballs. So that was a huge thing too. I feel like he shored up all of the concerns, performed on the big stage, and let's be honest, the Angels aren't rocket scientists. I really do think.
Well, they're AA affiliates in Rocket City.
That is ironic. That is ironic.
I needed to point that out.
But
it's 11 p.m. I'm tired. I needed to point that out.
I think they saw a guy dominate in the College World Series, finish strong down the stretch, hit the ball as hard as anyone. Said that's awesome. Let's fast track him.
Here for it.
And he's probably going straight to Rocket City.
Has to. And then he's not going to Salt Lake. He's going to Rocket City. Jack Kachanowicz, back-to-back complete games. Hey, you're going to the big leagues. Why not, right? Like, that's absolutely what Christian Moore is going to do. Guy has a multi-homer day in, like, game 3 of his pro career. Hey, buddy, get ready to learn Anaheim.
Anaheim, unfortunately. But energetic, should give them a little bit of life there, and defensively limited though, probably just limited to an average second base.
Passes the eye test with flying colors though. I mean, first team all eye test. Speaking of first team all eye test, Connor Griffin, the prepster, went 9 to Pittsburgh from Jackson Prep in Mississippi. This guy stole 85 bags in 43 games. Oh, by the way, he's 6'4", 210 and carved out of granite. Gatorade National Player of the Year. Top flight defense at short or center. Pick your poison, right?
Yeah, and I think it's like, well, actually, apparently it's like gold glove potential in center and then only like plus at short.
So my favorite thing, I don't know if I've ever told you this, but I was my dad went to Louisville, and I was watching Lamar Jackson's freshman year. Like, it was a game. It was like, you know, Chick-fil-A kickoff or something. It was like Louisville, Auburn, and Atlanta, and we were watching the game on TV. And Lamar Jackson was playing quarterback his freshman year. And one of the announcers said, this guy could be an All-American at wide receiver. And my dad stands up and yells at the TV, then why the hell isn't he playing wide receiver? Because he's a Heisman winner at quarterback. So it sounds like he's an All-American at short, but a Heisman winner in center.
Exactly. That's actually a great analogy. And he is. And you're probably wondering, well, then why didn't he go 1-1? The only question is the most important thing, the hit tool. Yeah. The swing it lacks some rhythm, but he has progressed really well in that regard in terms of just proving that he can at least head in the right direction. But we're talking about 70 speed plus power, great defense. That almost to me highlights the concern with the hit tool, because if the hit tool was even fringy at that point, you're like, oh, well, look at everything else. Yeah. There is a legitimate concern that it could be 30 grade, but there's also the chance that if it's fringy, he's a star. So I could totally understand why the Pirates would want to grab him at 9. You know, I do lean Rayner between the two just because I'm a little bit more risk averse, especially in a class that has so many college pieces here. But for a Pirate system that's strong, has a lot of pitching, and does have some young talent at the big league level, they swing for the fences here for a guy that could be a 5-tool star. And I love the pick and the chance there.
Fourth and final woe of the top 10 was the Nats at 10, going with Wake shortstop Seaver King. Seaver King was a good option again. Marlins at 16, but he goes 10 to Washington. I mean, man, he's got 1 year of high major baseball under his belt. And, like, there were some swing inefficiencies that were pointed out in March that he cleaned up by May, but, like, they're still there in trace amounts.
It was swing decisions too that really, really stood out to me. Where like he's actually got and there, you know, he could definitely make things a little bit easier on himself in terms of elevating more consistently. But I think the thing that really got highlighted for me was he couldn't recognize spin that well. Okay. The chase rates against breaking balls just really, really skyrocket compared to what he does against fastballs. But plus EVs, plus runner, can play all over the diamond. So there's a lot to like there. I just was surprised at 10.
Yeah.
But this is also a team that's very risk tolerant.
Yeah.
And here's a spot where, you know, you can get a very tooled up college player that did make the leap pretty well for a guy that went from Division II to ACC to handle it and performed on the Cape, so they must have felt like they saw enough. But my one thing with him is, we talked about Cags being aggressive and expansive, and that's why the chase rates are high. With Seaver King watching his ABs, it did seem like a spin recognition issue. But that said, like, it was his first year in Power 5. Like, that's something that he could be a slower burn and, not more of a project than these other college guys. But the upside is pretty immense. Yeah. So I do understand the upside play, but it was a surprise. 18 on our big board.
All right, I've got a kind of game that we're going to play 11 through the end of the first round. But before that, quick break. Okay, here's the game. I get one sentence. You get two sentences, and you get to pull one rant card. And I know where the rant card is coming. But you pull one rant card where you're allowed to go longer than two sentences. But, I feel like we'd be doing a disservice if we just skipped a guy in the first round.
I agree.
So I feel like we should go, try and limit it to, 45 seconds per pick or something. So, again, I get one sentence, you get two sentences on these guys. Okay. Is that fair?
That's fair. Can I do one positive rant and one negative rant, so two rant cards?
Yeah, you get two rant cards.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, you can take my rant card, actually. I don't really have a rant anywhere in here, so you get my rant card.
Let's
so there
go.
are two rant cards that are going to be pulled, both by Mr. Layton. Number 11, Bryce Rayner, the Harvard Westlake shortstop / pitcher, I guess, but they're going to make him a shortstop. Bryce Rayner goes to Detroit. My one sentence is, Scott Harris loves his high school guys. He nailed it with Clark and McGonigal last year, and it feels like Rayner fell into their lap.
I was going to say that verbatim. I mean, you get a guy that a lot of people think was the top prep bat in the class.
Yeah.
And he can stick it short, big power. I mean, how can you not be excited about that pick? Also from a powerhouse in Harvard Westlake. Great get.
Only 4 big leaguers, I think, though. All 4 are notable.
Yeah.
And 3 of the 4 were there at the same time. Jack Flaherty, Max Fried, Lucas Giolito, and then Pete Crow Armstrong a couple years later. All right, number 12, Boston goes Braden Montgomery, the right fielder from the Red Sox. How the hell did he fall here?
I think they sold their soul. It can't be. You can't blame it on Chaim Bloom now. So I think ownership, the Fenway Group, must have sold their soul.
Yeah, this pick is courtesy of Fenway Sports Group.
I mean, the one thing I do want to say, a couple extra sentences though, like for people that may not understand the reference, they have players fall into their lap.
Kyle Teal was gifted.
It just gift wrapped, and even Marcelo Meyer. I don't even think people were expecting him to be there. You get a massive power bat that now just continues to make this system as ridiculous as any in baseball, and he's going to be a top 100 guy that they got at 12.
Giants go James Tibbs, the outfielder from Florida State, ACC Player of the Year last year at 13. This guy is, power with a field of hit that can play a corner outfield spot, maybe at first base.
Yeah, I mean, talk about a perfect fit and just exactly what the Giants love. He should never face a lefty. Destroys righties, and he's going to be fast-tracked for just that. They love their platoon guys, and they got a guy that can destroy the bulk of a platoon. Think like Jock Peterson type.
Wow. Cubs go his Seminole teammate at 14, Cam Smith, the third baseman out of Florida State. Gift wrapped.
Another one.
They didn't screw it up. Good for them.
They did the same thing last year with Matt Shaw, one of my favorite guys in the draft. Again now, infielder, falls right into their lap. Power hit, super, super impressive, can play a good third. Cubs got to be thrilled again.
15 to Seattle, Gerangelo Senja. One word, not a sentence. Creativity. Especially with what they did in the second round, too.
I'm pulling my positive rant card here.
Okay.
Love this.
Yeah.
Love this. We were kind of wondering, what about you, Savage? I think Senja's going to be cheaper, potentially. He fits exactly what they like to do, which is find those low release, high carry fastballs. This guy's a switch pitcher. I like him more from the right side, but you could be a reliever with the left if you want. The fastball at 95 already, getting up to the upper 90s. This guy's focused on pitching for a year and a half. He already has a great feel for a slider. Landed for a strike 70% of the time. Already flashed a changeup, curveball, cutter. He can give you a little bit of everything. And now in this organization, with how they develop his types, amazing. They use those savings to go get Ryan Sloan in the second round, who's 23 on our big board. They got 2 top 25 prospects, and I mean, I think 2 arms that could be monsters for them. Sloan's easily my favorite prep arm.
Good use.
Outside of Caminiti, sorry.
Good use of the positive rant. Is this the negative rant?
Yeah,
16?
sorry. We're going to cash them in both here.
PJ Morlando, the corner outfielder / first baseman from Somerville, South Carolina. Morlando goes 16th to the Marlins. Wow.
Yeah, Fish on First clipped my reaction to that one if you want to go see on Twitter.
I was kind of hiding behind you. Did you know that I was hiding behind you?
No, I had no idea.
Just leaning and hiding behind your back.
I just laughed a lot, not because like it was like the worst pick ever. Like I do like Morlando's swing a lot, and I do think that he can be a solid offensive piece. But they drafted a guy who like may not have a defensive home at a high school, that's old for the class, and that was their 16th pick when you had Carson Bench, Theo Gillen, Caitlin Culpepper, Honeycutt, who I don't even love, but like a lot of guys that I would have probably taken over him. End of the day, they use those savings. They go get Carter Johnson, who I do like and I thought was a first-round talent before a shaky spring. So at least there's a justifiable like second pick there. Yeah. And now they get 2 high school guys that they're excited about. And, I mean, the system needs as many bats as possible. But come on, I think the Marlins got too cute with this the first time around. You could have got Carson Bench. He ends up going to your division rival. He's a guy that could play center field for you as well. College bat, higher floor, more utility. Like they used the savings for another guy that still was shaky this spring too. I like him, but I just thought in a draft like this, it was a little bit of a head scratcher to say the least. And the Marlins continue to I think squander opportunities where good players kind of fall into their lap and they try to get too cute with it. I thought there was the same thing again with different people at the helm here. We'll see how it all goes, but I mean, it's just frustrating watching the Marlins draft. I can't lie.
Speaking of getting cute, the Brewers at 17 go Braylon Payne, an outfielder from Elkins High School in Texas. My one sentence, I had never heard of this young man.
Yeah, me neither. I didn't know much. It seems like contact-oriented. They love those contact, slappy, fast guys.
No, they all just want Sal Frelick 2.0. Yeah,
exactly. And that's what they got here. So, we'll see how much they save. I think they're going to save a ton. I did like the second pick. Blake Burke, I think, he's limited to first, but that guy mashes. I love the data there. The underlying data is awesome. And then I will say the Brewers get the benefit of the doubt because they have crushed. What we talked about with Cooper Pratt. They crushed. Sorry, I'm using a rant here too. They've crushed the underslot side of things, and they went and got 2 high school arms after that.
How do you say that name? Mekich? Bryce Mekich?
Bryce Mekich and Chris
Lavonis, both New Jersey prep righties. Okay.
We'll see.
Sure.
But I'll tell you what, man, they've earned the benefit of the doubt when it comes to getting creative in this draft. Yeah. So I'll give them a little bit more of a pass than the Marlins.
Okay. Theo Gillen goes 18 to Tampa. I don't have anything.
I mocked it.
I know. Yeah.
I mocked it because I think he's a top 10 player in this class if healthy. He had a knee injury and a shoulder surgery as a sophomore. Only reason why I think he slipped. Great fit for the Rays, who are very risk tolerant, and this could pay off big for them.
Mets at 19 go Carson Bench, the outfielder from Oklahoma State, who very talented on the mound. My one thing on him, the Mets needed a high floor position player like this, and they got one.
And you just knew they were going to go college bat. That seemed to be all they were tied to, and he fell right into their lap. He's number 11 on our big board. He's going to play some center field too. He can go get it out there. And when he focuses on hitting instead of the mound, adds a little bit of strength. I think this could look like one of the bigger steals in hindsight.
Toronto at 20 took Trey Yesavage, the pitcher from ECU, who was pitcher 3 on the big board. I don't know how he slipped to them, and I want to find out.
Yeah, I wonder if it's physical related. We talked about because of the collapsed lung at the end of last year. The Jays...
I want to know what dry needling is. Like that's what resulted in the collapsed lung.
Oh, really?
Yeah, needling. I saw that in our YouTube comments during the live stream. I was like, I don't know what that is.
What is that?
I don't know.
It's like extreme acupuncture?
So it sounds like acupuncture, right?
Dry needling.
Where they just,
what's wet needling?
They try to pop the balloon. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on.
I don't know, but I love the pick.
Yeah.
High floor, such a high probability 4, but could be more than that. Yeah. And they've gone high school, the Jays, and it's burn them from a health perspective. I love this. It was a blessing for them. I don't think they were expecting this.
No, 21 to Minnesota was Kalen Culpepper, the shortstop from Kansas State. He was one of the more fun hitters to watch in college baseball this year.
Finish so strong, too. It seems like something really clicked for him down the stretch. Really sound profile. It's like 50s across the board, which may not get you super pumped for an organization that loves like Brooks Lee. I know that's a 60 hit, but like they like those types.
Yeah.
Great chance to stick it on the left side of the infield. The 160 he has, that arm, rocket.
Gotcha. Vance Honeycutt went 22 to Baltimore. When you're this effing good, you're allowed to gamble on what could be. It's my one sentence.
And the Orioles did just that.
Yeah.
And they've done it with Judd Fabian. On the other side, they go with Enrique Bradfield, who they think they could develop, in terms of impacting the baseball more. But it just made all the sense in the world. You got one of the best farm systems, if not the best in baseball. Swing for the fences with a guy that's an 80 defender and a plus power guy. If it all works out, this guy could be a star. And it was worth a shot. I love the fit.
And I could be wrong, check me on this, but this just popped into my brain, which tells you that I need a freaking hobby. I think the last 2 Dodger draft picks have been quarterbacks, because didn't they take DJ in the 20th round last year?
Yeah.
I think it was 20th round. They took DJ Uiagalelei, and now they take Kellen Lindsey, high school Florida shortstop, who is as good of a quarterback as he is a baseball player, but man, 80 runner, right?
80 runner.
Yeah.
He swings like a guy that plays football, though.
Doesn't
Yeah, it's gonna be a slow burn. It's gonna be.
Does he swing like Jordan Adams? Like that. That's my biggest fear. When I hear like really good football player, I think Jordan Adams and I scream inside.
This is such a niche pull, but he swings like Jerry and Ely. You remember the running back from
Yeah,
Ole
I
Miss?
do. Yeah.
So like it's gonna be a process. It's like where the back leg collapses, and it's just it's so athletic.
If
like
I'm
you're
not
just.
mistaken, Jerry and Ely went to Jackson Prep in Mississippi.
Oh, did he?
I think so.
That does sound right.
I think so.
He
I'll
played
Google
running
it.
back. I think he just signed one of the fake football leagues, but he was with the Chiefs for a little bit. Had a really good collegiate career. But it's like that back leg collapses, and you just it looks like they're just hitting on pure athleticism. That's what Lindsey does. But he's an 80 runner, easily one of the best athletes in this draft. And I think the Dodgers are looking at him and saying, well, if we can get him right mechanically, now that he focuses on baseball,
Yeah.
it could be a monster. And the Dodgers can afford to do that.
I nailed that. Give me a knuckle bump.
You got
I
that?
nailed it.
That's
Yeah.
sick.
Yeah, Jackson Prep.
That's a sick
same
pull.
high school as Connor Griffin, Jerry, and Ely. Wow. All right, 24. Steal of the draft in Caminiti going to Atlanta.
It's just, of course. I think it's the steal of the draft because it's exactly what they always want anyways.
Yeah.
Right? I don't even think they game planned for this. This is the top prep arm in the class. It's a 70 fastball, great delivery, 17 years old. If there was a B version of Cam Caminiti and the A version wasn't available, they would probably have taken the B version at 24. Like, this was a dream scenario for them. This is exactly what they always want, and he fell right to their lap.
When was the last time they took a bat in the first round?
More than 7 years.
Yeah, wow. It's like I'm just trying to rack my brain.
So like Austin Riley? No, was he?
I think Riley was a first-round pick, yeah.
It was 7 years.
Just Google Braves first-round picks by year. Number 25 to San Diego is Cash Mayfield. The Padres take high school left-hander Cash Mayfield, who is built a lot bigger than most right-handers, or built a lot bigger than most high school arms. But, it seemed like he was, just watching like the video during the draft, like it seemed like he is a very smooth operator.
It's funny, I tell you, every year I mock either my favorite swing or just the cleanest mechanics pitching-wise to the Padres, and I feel pretty good about it. I mocked Slade Caldwell because that's my favorite swing. But as we were doing that, I'm like, Cash Mayfield is the cleanest delivery I've seen in this class. And sure enough, he goes to the Padres. They scout so well. They know their mechanics, and it's exactly what they do here. They get a guy that has a really smooth and clean delivery, fills up the zone with 3 pitches. But the last time, it was Shea Langeliers.
And then Braden Shoemaker 19. Yeah.
So since then, 5 straight years.
Wow.
Schuster, Cusick, Owen Murphy, J.R. Ritchie, Hurston Waldrop.
And Langeliers was a hit, and Riley before that was a hit. Like the only one that really wasn't was Shoemaker.
Yeah.
But
that was
hey,
not great.
they got Aaron Bummer for that. All right, number 26, the Yankees take Ben Hess, big boy from Alabama, right-hander, I think 6'6", 250. But Ben Hess, Unique fastball characteristics.
Jeff Hoffman-esque.
Yeah, all-star Jeff Hoffman.
I think he's going to be Jeff Hoffman. I think he's going to be a high-leverage reliever. It was an interesting pick. I think they're going to use those savings to do some other things later.
Cool. 27 to Philly. Dante Nori, outfielder from Northville High School in Michigan. Peyton Guinness, who did such a good job on the MLB Draft live stream, which was presented by Chinook Seedery. They gave me this sick hat, by the way. If you're with us on YouTube, it's really cool. But he clipped some video for us to watch during that. Quadzilla, Dante Nori.
Built like our YouTube extraordinaire, Ben Bellotti. I didn't have much on Nori before, but it's a powerful swing. Yeah. He is really, really strong in the lower half and a fun athlete. It was just a surprising pick, though, so I'm excited to learn more about him.
I think this was nailed pick number 6 for you from the mock. Walker Yannick, the catcher from Sam Houston State, went 28th to Houston.
Yeah, that was a sick way to end it for me.
That was a good one.
We did better in the back end of the draft than the top, I think. Elite defender. I know some other teams in the back end were interested in him. Like he's a 660 arm. He threw out more than 50% of base stealers. Yeah. This guy's a monster. Things came along offensively. So, I mean, this is easily the best catcher in the draft, and you get him at 28. I love that pick for the Astros. 2
more in the first round. Slade Caldwell, the outfielder from Valley View High School, somehow slipped to Arizona at 29.
Stamping this guy. Okay. Stamping. And I love that the organization that has, Corbin Burns. I'm tired too now. Yeah. Corbin Carroll. We've been doing this for a long time today. Carroll. You have Alec Thomas. These small but explosive and twitchy guys, they get exactly that with Caldwell. He is awesome. I love the swing. I love the twitch. I love what he brings to the table. This is a steal of steals.
Last one of the first round, the Rangers took Malcolm Moore, 30th overall, the Stanford catcher. He's funny to watch hit.
He's Verdugo-esque, but like the toe is tapping way more. It looks crazy, but a great feel to hit. Power ticked up a little bit. The defense has come along, but yeah, he's a guy that was kind of expected to go in this range, and I think for the Rangers it was a good get for them. And I think a lot of people, it's Loma Vida or him, but the consensus top 3 catcher in this class.
Overall draft look at kind of like team philosophy and the gems beyond the first round, as well as a first round recap, is all coming on the call up a little bit later this week. So be on the lookout for that if you really want to get your post draft fix. And I might just start asking you like rapid fire. It's like, hey, this guy was drafted by this team. Where does he slot into their top prospect list? Like that kind of thing. And I think that's going to be fun to kind of like now attach a team to the guy and like, hey, where does he fit in the grand scheme? And we're going to do all of that on the call-up. We're going to preview the All-Star Game, recap the Home Run Derby tomorrow on the Just Baseball show. You will hear the Home Run Derby preview after this break.